To win here tonight, our contestants not only need to be smart, but more importantly, they have to stay calm under pressure. Now, at first look, this show seems straightforward. Answer a few simple questions, and you could win these incredible prizes right there. And more importantly, you can win up to $1 million in cash.
And I thought the Mimosa Mayhem match in 2020 was the most embarrassing thing to happen to Chris Jericho. Welcome to YouTube is Dustman! And let's go back to 2010. What comes to mind for you? Maybe Toy Story 3, one of the greatest movies to ever exist. Maybe you were listening to Kesha on your iPod Nano. One thing's for sure though, we can all agree game shows in 2010 were absolutely peak. Survivor Heroes vs. Villains is my favorite season of the American version of the show, so we can all assume 2010 was a great... Oh, you've gotta be kidding me! In the summer of 2010, ABC aired Downfall, a game show that was meant to be ABC's show of the summer. Never mind the fact they had a perfectly good comedy game show before it. Downfall might be the shortest show ever shown on the Duality Dustman channel, as 6 episodes were filmed, and of them only 5 were aired and produced. The show was hosted by professional wrestler and rock musician Chris Jericho, who, between losing his WWE World Heavyweight Championship to Jack Swagger, and a tour with his band Fozzy in the latter half of 2010, needed something to fill the gap. So he decides to host a game show that makes Distraction look like a fucking masterpiece. The show worked like this. They filmed the show on top of a fucking building in downtown Los Angeles. That is a whole new level of dedication. It makes for an ambitious show, but of course, ABC has to fuck it up. As Jericho himself would say,
"It was a stupid idea from bad creative and all."
Anyway, in each round there was a series of prizes, such as a jet ski, a television, a car, and a few other items. But ultimately, their grand prize was $1 million in cash. However, there was a catch. The prizes were on a conveyor belt, and the contestants were dangling midair. If a contestant failed to answer a question in time, or succumbed to the pressure, a prize fell, and they lose that prize. The last prize to fall would be the cash, and if the money fell, the contestant gets...
It.
What's it, you may ask? Yeah. Don't worry, they're okay. They were attached with a bungee cord, so they're fine. There were 7 rounds, with each round the contestant being required to answer a certain number of questions correctly to win said prize. The safety net came in round 3. As long as they passed round 3, they were guaranteed $25,000. That kind of reminds me of another game show where $1 million was at stake. The show ultimately failed for a few reasons. Other than the fact that the show was hosted by the best WWE superstar money can buy, at the time this was the dumbest thing he ever did, but that'd be overshadowed by him doing something else 2 years later, the show is in way too over its head, with no contestant winning the $1 million grand prize in the show's duration. Overambition, I guess you could say, was the show's first downfall. Second, the show tried to portray itself as one of those deadly game-style shows in a similar vein to sci-fi game shows of the mid-2010s. However, the show failed in that by explicitly saying that the prizes weren't destroyed at the beginning. Suspension of disbelief is what makes shows like that believable. Hell, until I was 13, I thought people actually fucking drowned in the quicksand on Exit. That fear was legit, but Downfall said, "No dude, it's all okay." That's like telling me WWE is fake during the match. So the show's second downfall was that suspension of disbelief was suspended. Third, the show aired after one millions tuned in to watch every night. However, the difference between Wipeout and Downfall was that Wipeout was actually funny. Downfall was just there. Many people just changed the channel after Wipeout. Downfall, you know what happens when your production company puts your show after a show people often change the channel after? You know what happens?
You just made the list. Oh no.
If Downfall aired before Wipeout usually did, then I could see it being cheesy, yet memorable. So Downfall's third downfall is being behind an actually memorable show. Fourth, and finally, the show is basically just a quote-unquote dangerous version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Safety nets, $1 million grand prize and all. The conveyor belt was a nice touch to make the show seem great. So the fourth and final downfall of Downfall was that it was a millionaire ripoff with a conveyor belt. All in all, Downfall failed because ABC executives were too over their heads and made a show that seemed ambitious, but ultimately embarrassed people on national television. Downfall was cancelled in the fall of 2010, and in the summer of 2011, they adapted 101 Ways to Leave a Game Show for American audiences, but that's a story for another time. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be today's video. I'm Duality Dustman, and this was The Gift of Dustico. Drink it in, man! I'm just messing with you guys. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.